Are you tired of the same old pro wrestling? Then check out the amazing action on Powerslam.tv, the biggest indie pro wrestling channel in the world. Get over 4,000 hours of the best pro wrestling events from over 110 of the biggest names in the industry from over 15 countries around the globe. Get your free trial today at Powerslam.tv.
The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to NXT Then, Now, Forever. I'm James Boyd, and I am here with the senior, right?
Yes, sir.
The senior analyst of Sportskeeda, Simon Cotton. What's going on, man?
Yeah, nothing much. Just really enjoying getting to watch some old NXT and what's going on this week. Looking forward to talking about it.
Okay, so this was we're just going to be honest. This was not a good episode of a retro NXT. We're going to get through it because that's what the show's for, but we're going to cover it and we're going to talk about it.
Despite it not being a good episode, it's actually some of the things I took note of was just actually pretty interesting. We'll get to it. The first match will really start it off, actually.
Okay.
WWE become a...
Sheamus, I don't believe you and I have been properly introduced. My name is Aiden English, the man who's single-handedly using this company as a stepping stone to the brighter lights of Broadway.
Aiden English, yeah? Mm-hmm. Using this as a stepping stone to the brighter lights of Broadway. Well, funny you should say stones, because from the sound of your voice, it's obvious that your stones haven't dropped yet.
NXT number 213 from March 20th, 2014. We get Mojo Rawley coming down to the ring. This dude's running in and out of the ring and around the ring set like a fool. We get a sighting of the Gronk. Then we get Mojo Rawley versus Bull Dempsey. Our first time seeing Bull Dempsey. There's not much to say about Bull Dempsey other than he's Bull Dempsey. So the match starts with Bull Dempsey in control with some strikes and some clubs and some knees and slaps, and then slaps on a rest hold because, of course. Mojo fights back and then hits two stinger splashes, a hip attack, and then that running ass drop he does for the win. What you got on this, Simon?
I barely paid attention to the match because I already knew what was happening. But it was just like, but one of the things is like, it was a cold open. There wasn't really a lot of talking or the promos that I'm used to with watching Raw and SmackDown, the 10-minute segment of somebody going on and on about God knows what. It was just straight into the match, which was probably the best thing to do considering who was in there.
Yeah.
And of course, since a lot of these people are still employed with WWE, it's always interesting to see where they are at this point in their career versus what they are doing currently. And Mojo Rawley, from the big hype man to Mirror Master to stuck in the mirror dimension. Doctor Strange ain't here and Wong ain't coming.
Okay, so I've had Rich on the show twice. I've had I had Jeremy once. I've had to ask you because I didn't really ask Jeremy, and I know Rich isn't really with the sci-fi shit, even though he's watching fake fighting. I don't know why he thinks that's better. Whatever. So, is he in the sunken place or the dark dimension? Which one is Mojo Rawley in? You tell me.
I mean, I guess he'd have to be in the dark dimension.
The dark dimension?
I mean, how would he be in the sunken place? He's just looking at a mirror.
Oh, are you saying that there are no white people in the sunken place?
You see, you adding in a whole bunch of different subjects. This is not the topic for today's episode.
I was just asking, and then you gave me these weird, you were trying to qualify it. I was like, what's the qualification? Like, say what's real. Say what's real.
I was trying to take it easy. Just said the mirror dimension. You over here just making it controversial.
I'm sorry. We can move on. So, after that, Mojo jumps to the crowd and celebrates with all of his friends and family that are seated in the crowd.
The foreshadowing of the Andre the Giant Memorial match from WrestleMania 33.
Yeah. I mean, I bet they think that one day they'll get Gronk to retire and he'll be in WWE. I hope he never comes, but I think they probably maybe it's a possibility.
You mean the same way we were supposed to get a Shaq match with Big Show?
I guess.
They got close one year. He was in the Andre match the year before.
Yeah, that's right. And remember, Big Show got in such a good shape, like the best shape he had been in since like WCW and like
he's
early
WCW.
And what you say? You never saw him in WCW?
I'm saying I'd say he was in even better shape if you ask me.
No. Young, like when he was like 95, 96, Giant. Like when he was out there doing nip ups and in doing matches in Japan where he's doing moonsaults and stuff, like that Giant. It was the best shape he'd been since then. But like 20 years almost, right? And then nope. I know Big Show had to be heated.
What did he even end up doing for WrestleMania 33? I think he was just in the match, the same Memorial Battle Royale.
I think so.
That's
and
tragic.
Every time there's a Giant in a battle royal, get ganged up on, get thrown out. Or most of them, anyway. So, we get an interview with CJ Parker. The interviewer says verbatim, CJ, it's been 3 weeks since you were defeated by Mojo Rawley in an NXT arrival. How do you feel? He says he was shocked and sickened, and I'm not talking about Mojo's in-ring ability, I'm strictly talking about his lifestyle. He says that Mojo stays hyped on genetically modified, highly processed, empty-calorie fast food. Says that Mojo is the kind of guy that swings through a drive-thru, buys 10 double cheeseburgers, burps, and throws the wrappers out the window. He says in 1 week he's going to humanely dispose of Mojo Rawley, and then he picks up a recycling basket and drops a wadded-up piece of paper into it.
Fickle.
Yeah.
I feel like Daniel Bryan knows this guy drink.
Yeah, it's real training wheels Daniel Bryan, or should we say that Daniel Bryan has taken it and moved it on to something else.
It was definitely interesting to see him as a heel because was he always a heel in NXT? I don't exactly recall.
From what I know of him in NXT, he was the environmentalist hippie, gimmick. So yeah, because it's Vince McMahon's WWE, so of course an environmental friendly hippie is, has been public enemy number one for like 40 years.
And it's so crazy because I knew that he was in NXT, but I only really got to know him and start watching him more closely in that first G1 he participated in. I think it was 27 last year. He had a bunch of just fantastic matches, and he was always portrayed as a babyface at that point.
Wait, was last year when he beat Naito or no?
I'm not entirely sure.
Either he was in last year was the first one, or the year before was, because his first big win was when he beat Naito in the G1. And it looked like he killed Naito. Naito just laid out.
I think he had him. It's just amazing to see how much far he's come.
Yep.
Just because somebody leaves NXT doesn't mean that's the end for him. Or leaves WWE, period.
Yeah, absolutely true. And then you can also see some of these guys like, because honestly, CJ for me is most famous in the NXT on the network areas for getting his ass whooped by Kevin Owens when he debuted on like the second or third Takeover. But yeah, just there are certain guys and you can be like, wow, this person is here now. Like Camacho, he's freaking IWGP heavyweight tag champ right now. Yeah. He's about to go in Madison Square Garden, and it's like if you couldn't have been able to forecast that thing 5 years ago. He's doing these things in NXT, getting squashed in Full Sail. No, never.
Especially me. I kind of just took some of the stuff they said for verbatim. I didn't think why would they make up somebody's race? That's kind of weird. So I would have been saying, he's wrestling somewhere else, anywhere except IWGP, in New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, it's not like he's freaking Sonata now, but it's just change in attitude, more opportunity, more chances to do other things, and a place that's more open to being able to ideas of anything. So yeah, so after that we get Tyler Breeze comes down to the ring for a match. We get a video recap of Breeze being a sucker last week, letting or beating up Woods and letting him just stay out there as wounded prey for Rusev to pick up the parts. Out comes Sami Zayn for a match, and he gets shoved from behind and posted by Corey Graves. The medical geeks come out and evaluate Sami, and they take him to the back.
Yeah, I think he had some type of head injury or something. They were saying for this.
Yeah, they were teasing, or they were treating it as if he was concussed.
So, were you watching NXT regularly during this period, or did you come across it later?
I was only at that point. I was only in on the takeovers, and the occasional thing that Rich or whoever else would tell me you should check that out.
Okay, because my main question was going to be, what is Corey Graves' deal at this point? Oh, this is 2014, and I know they're all the subject of that documentary that came out the following year from ESPN.
Yeah,
but I'm not entirely sure what he was really doing at this point.
Yeah, I never watched a single drop of NXT pre-network, so I can't tell you, but so far on the show, he is pretty much, he's a bad guy who talks a little trash, pretty good at it, obviously. Doesn't have the poise that he has now in the ring in front of a live audience, but he was still, you could see that he could get there. He just needed reps. He has them now, so that's why he can do like the angle stuff he was doing 2 years ago or whatever. But he just a typical bad guy, had to look because of the tattoos, had a decent physique, wore super skinny jeans. I'm pretty sure that's for heat. But seemed like a capable hand, wasn't anything special as like, oh yeah, that was a great work or anything before he got injured and was done.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's currently right now working with Sami Zayn or whatever else, or starting a program. Like he lost to him he called out Sami Zayn 2 weeks ago, and then Sami Zayn whooped that ass. So then this was, to get his heat back because heels.
Yep.
Yeah. So then we go to the back with Sheamus. He gets interrupted by Aiden English. English introduced himself and says that he's using WWE as a stepping stone to get to Broadway. So then Sheamus makes this Cena-esque joke because it's back in that time when he was basically pale Cena. And he says, stepping stone, huh? Judging by your singing, it sounds like your stones haven't dropped yet. So then Sheamus says he's going to talk to NXT Commissioner JBL to get a match with English.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, he was between Regal and Cole. He was the NXT GM. Yeah.
Boy, that sounds a little bit more convoluted than what's going on right now.
So out comes Adam Rose and the Rosebuds for entrance. And then finally, 16 minutes of the show, we get a shot of commentary. And it's a 4-man team of Regal, Phillips, Saxon, and Renee Young. No heels in sight.
It sounded like Saxton was kind of trying to fill the heel role at some point. And he has a very interesting quote that I'm going to get to in the next match.
Oh, God.
But I'd say he was the one trying to be more antagonistic or defending the heels with everybody at the table.
I kind of felt like, Regal's filling in that role too.
I think he's always kind of been that gray area. Because when I used to watch old NXT, like every once in a while, if he wasn't doing some angle of being, what's his role? The commissioner?
He's the commissioner right now, yeah. Or the GM or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, when he wasn't doing the GM stuff, he sounded like he was usually just a bit antagonistic, which makes sense given his entire career track record, basically.
Yeah, but in NXT, from what I can gauge so far, because he's been on all these shows, he kind of fills the Lawler role of, yeah, he's the heel announcer, but he's so liked for so long that he's pretty much playing a baby face, but occasionally dips into saying heel things because that's actually what his job is, and you let it slide because ain't nobody out here trying to, boo William Regal.
Of course not.
Yeah. So Adam Cole versus Camacho. We get Big Adam Rose chants. They lock up, then Rose tumbles around Camacho in a circle for reasons yet to be explained, even 5 years from now.
This reminded me of that clip from Did you see the Showbuckle video where they were explaining Naito's rise to popularity and all that stuff?
Yeah, but it was a while ago. I don't
There
remember.
was at one point, in that video, they were mentioning like comical selling, where Naito was just rolling around, just holding his ankle. That's what this reminded me of.
Okay.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, obviously he's a comedy act, so he's being funny, but it's just like,
It's weird.
for reasons. The reasons are I'm a goofball. So Rose does more goofing around until Camacho picks up Rose and back suplexes him. Camacho backs him in the corner with and chops him with some overhands and some backhands. The crowd chants "Party Pooper" at Camacho. Camacho just works over Rose with some chops and clubs and a headlock. He whips Rose into a corner for more, and then mocks Rose's signature frolicking around the ring. This pisses Rose off, so he goes wild with a high tackle and fist from side control. Rose hits a charging back elbow in the corner, a Bronco Buster, a Spine Buster, then hits him with a regular ass clothesline for the win.
Man, I thought I was the only one. Like, bro, if this is not the weakest clothesline I've ever seen in the match, JBL is probably backstage fuming.
Yeah, like that was
a clothesline from.
That's a clothesline from Earth, a clothesline from Purgatory, or whatever you want to call it. Anything that wasn't hell. So then next we get Sasha versus Bayley. Charlotte comes down to the ring with Sasha to be ringside, and Natty does the same for Bayley. Bayley shines early and then puts Sasha's Kanye graduation glasses on and mocks her. Sasha gets pissed and returns the favor, and then whoops her so bad that she beats the headband off of Bayley. So then she puts on Bayley's headband and mocks her.
And it's right around this time, like I mentioned earlier, that Saxton had this strange quote that I just had to write down. So they were talking. Now, to put some background on this, Sasha, Charlotte, and I believe Paige are part of the group. If it's not Paige, it's probably Summer Rae. Yeah, the beautiful, fierce females.
Yep.
And of course, it's a heel group. They go around just messing with people, targeting different women in the company. And at some point, the commentators are saying, "Oh well, they seem to just have any issues or something, or typical heels are bad stick." And Saxton says, and I quote, "It was something I remember before this. It was something about taking a spot or something like that." And Saxton said something like this: "Are you waiting in line to be served chicken and brown rice? You go to the front of that line, grab the brown rice and chicken and a brownie too," which led to the rest of the commentators wondering, what in the hell are you talking about?
I wasn't paying attention to commentary, but I do remember the words brown rice and chicken, or chicken and brown rice, and then I went back to ignoring commentary because it's WWE commentary. Like this was, this before we get like Nigel and Morrow, or Daniel Bryan, or whoever else. Graves even in NXT was really good, but yeah, like I've never been a fan of Saxon even in NXT. He's more like Saxon's not bad. It's just he's just there. You know what I mean? In NXT, he was on a lesser level than even on SmackDown.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Some of the stuff Renee was saying, particularly during the Adam Rose stuff, it's the typical the babyface commentator likes the babyface stuff, but it's kind of cringe. I don't know if it's because it's Adam Rose or it's because of Renee and what she's doing right now with commentary on Raw.
It's
probably
Renee.
both.
I think that Renee is worse than she was in NXT. And actually NXT, when she's doing babyface commentary, I enjoyed her. Like, she's pleasant, right? But when you have Graves out here trying to do debate fucking talk radio with her all the time, or they have to not do their job seriously because whatever they're doing in the ring is like not good, so they have to talk about anything else, or they have to kind of bury her because of the Ambrose thing. It's a bad look. But after all the back and forth of mocking each other, Bayley mounts a comeback, but Sasha cuts her off and then throws her out the ring. Charlotte walks up on Bayley, so Natty walks up too. As Bayley gets back in the ring herself, Charlotte charges Natty and hits her, and then Sasha rolls up Bayley, but Bayley reverses it for the win.
and I'm fairly certain this was Bayley's. I think the commentator said this was her NXT debut on the network or something along these lines.
This is her network debut.
Man, from humble beginnings,
her debut match anyway. Yeah.
From humble beginnings to the top of NXT to whatever you want to call what's happening right now on WWE's main roster.
Yeah. Getting booked poorly, as usual.
Even as champion.
Say again?
Yeah, even as the new tag team champions.
Yeah, poorly booked. So out comes Aiden English, and he sings his way down to the ring for heat. Out comes babyface Sheamus with the old lobster head music. This might be the last. This might be the last time this dude was this over with a crowd. Like too many limes. Too many limes.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So they have a back and forth on the mic about Aiden going to Broadway and becoming a star. So Sheamus asks the crowd they think that English will become a star. The crowd chants, or they do the yes chant, and also some do the no chant. Then Sheamus says, back home in Ireland, we sing too, and he asks the crowd if they want to hear him sing. Then the crowd all comes together to chant no. And they do it so much so that he reflectively acknowledges that they're saying no. Like, I thought to myself, wow, even back then, 2 years after all that had passed, Sheamus still couldn't escape Daniel Bryan in 18 seconds. So Sheamus starts singing, and the crowd starts clapping along in rhythm with his singing. And then they take turns snatching the mic from each other. And then English shoves Sheamus out of the ring. And Sheamus manages to land on his feet. And he gets hot and tells the scorekeeper to ring the bell. So we get Sheamus versus Aiden English. Sheamus is chasing Aiden English out and back into the ring. And then English stomps and beats on Sheamus. And Sheamus answers with his own clubbage that he's been known for about a decade now. Sheamus sets up for a bro kick, but English rolls out the ring. And then we go to commercial break.
Yeah, I don't understand. There are actually a few commercials on this show, but they were like WWE commercials, and it was just stuff for WrestleMania, like Lesnar Taker, and like since I'm talking about it, they had those goofy animated movies that WWE used to do.
Yeah, like the Scooby Doo deals.
Exactly. This was Scooby Doo WrestleMania or something, and I wouldn't have paid attention to it at first, but then the commercial for it said starring some of WWE's biggest stars. John Cena, The Miz. I'm like, okay, that's Brodus Clay, Santino Marella, Sin Cara. Okay, now you're just lying to kids, man.
I mean, I really, really, really enjoyed Santino's act, so I can't really speak to that. Like,
no, Santino. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Like Brodus Clay, one of WWE's biggest stars. Come on. He had one moment at WrestleMania 28. Keep it a buck.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing. I did enjoy the Bruce Clay squash matches, though. I did.
Man, like, I think the funniest one was the one with Alex Riley, where he was like, yeah, they were like trading dances, and then Bro just started kicking his ass.
I have to look that one up. But like, yeah, I love me a good quick squash match. But yeah, we come back from this commercial break. And that's the thing, is like, it's a network. Like, why are you going into commercial breaks in the middle of matches? I understand if I don't really enjoy the fact that they do commercials still to this day on NXT, but in the middle of a match, come on now.
My heart.
Yeah. So we come back with English in control. They go to the outside. Sheamus throws English to the barricades a couple times, and then they cut it back to the ring, and then English shoves Sheamus and posts him, and then regain the control. Sheamus is taking forever, just selling for English, just selling and selling and selling. This is like a 2017 to 2019 Raw male singles heel classic. Tons of quick cutoffs and squeezing and napping on the mat. Sheamus finally decides to get back on his feet and get some separation. We get a Sheamus comeback with a couple of axe handle smashes, a shoulder tackle in the corner, a running knee lift, and a power slam. Then Sheamus sets up and then lands the bro kick for the win.
Yeah, it's actually at one point during this match. I know you say you kind of tuned the commentators off, and I did a little bit too, but I think Regal said at this point, these are the payless in-ring competitors I've ever seen.
Yes. I think one of them said something along the lines of like, it looks like a negative photo, and I was like, yo, this.
They said it, not me.
Yeah. So Thoughts on this show in general?
Overall, it was passable at best and just a waste of time at worst. But it was still interesting. Maybe because it's old, like that. I just have. It's real interesting to see these people just back in the day. Like looking at Sasha Banks and Charlotte, like while they're young. They're not old right now, but they were younger, like less experienced and all this stuff right at this moment, and see what they become and see what they do. And actually, since I'm looking at all these people right here, let's take a quick look of what everybody ended up doing. So Mojo Rawley is currently stuck in the mirror dimension.
Yeah.
Bull Dempsey isn't with the company anymore.
Nope.
CJ Parker went to.
He's a U.S. He's a New Japan U.S. champion.
Yep. Tyler Breeze is doing his. Well, I wouldn't say doing his thing. He's teaming with Fandango on main event. Sami Zayn is supposed to come back real soon, though he's had a few moments on main roster. Adam Rose left
a while back.
Yeah, like back in 2015.
Yeah.
Camacho went on to in New Japan Pro Wrestling, joined up with his brother.
Yep, he's tag team
champs. Bayley, I think we already talked about her and Sasha, the tag team champs right now. Charlotte's heading into a main event, doing nothing but posting her pictures on social media to build up the match, which is real funny. And of course, you have Sheamus and Aiden English. Yeah, and that was about it.
Yeah, Aiden English, who he pretty much showed you what his he had a singing gimmick. He moved on to do the Vaudevillains thing, and they were over NXT. They went to main roster. They did absolutely nothing with him because, of course, they weren't going to do anything with him because it's Vince McMahon. Look at the history, look at the track record. And then they start up the Rusev Day thing. They get over. They didn't like that shit. They kiboshed it. And the very second that they broke up, they had that one match, and I don't think we've seen Aiden English on TV as a wrestler since. Right?
I'm sure he's doing something on is Superstar still a thing?
No, he's doing commentary for 205 Live.
Oh yeah, right.
Right. Oh. But I don't think he's had a match since that Rusev whooped that ass.
Maybe it was a get out of town match that they never told us about. That's usually my headcanon whenever somebody just stops wrestling for 6 months.
Wow. The thing that was crazy about it was everyone knew the second you split them two up, English was going to be off TV, back in catering, dunzo, finito, finished. And
call him a Marty Jannetty would be a disservice to Marty Jannetty.
Yeah, because Jannetty had good matches continuing, and he obviously, he had his problems, demons, quote unquote demons. You know how that goes. Everyone has demons. Like, look, man, just say he on drugs, whatever. So. But he still had his stints or whatever, and was good, at parts. But no, English literally had one match and was gone. Even we thought that he was just gonna get his ass whooped a few times and then probably be gone. But no, he got one match.
And done. And done.
Well, anyway, we'll be back with this week's episode of NXT.
Phenomenal match in this
Here we go.
five-way.
Dream's mouth wide open. Sucking in air.
Oh,
He's got caught.
Ricochet all the way to the top.
What?
Ricochet sends Velveteen Dream into Adam Cole and Aleister Black.
Ricochet's not done.
The one and only's not done. Here we go.
The Lord of the Fly with the shooting star press. Ricochet on the cusp of going to the big apple.
Oh!
Last shot by Cole. Last shot by Adam Cole.
Welcome back. We are going to give you NXT episode 497, March 20th, 2019. We start with Triple H coming out, and he's going to give us an in-ring promo, and he's going to tell us that some start their dreams at NXT. He added that dreams can also end in the ring. He mentioned that Ciampa needed neck surgery, and that meant that the NXT title is now vacant. So then he announces that we have a fatal five-way to determine who meets Johnny Gargano at Takeover, and then he announces that the winner will take on Johnny in a best 2 out of 3 falls in the main event of Takeover New York. And he tells us that the contestants are Ricochet, Aleister Black, Adam Cole, Velveteen Dream, and Matt Riddle.
Yeah, so right off the bat with this, I was even though I know whatever they're going to put on for New York is going to be great, it's just so disheartening even just to hear that match isn't going to happen. What basically one of the greatest rivalry in WWE overall in the modern era, at least. And it's like it was going to end. I'm sure the match they were going to have was going to try. They were at least going to try to blow out whatever they did last year out of the water, and there's another opportunity just robbed them. Like I'm sure Ciampa was heated when he found out that he had to get surgery. He was like, I couldn't hold out for like 3 more weeks. Seriously,
dude.
3 more weeks.
Well, you saw me on the thread. Like, I probably don't even know if like the way I was reacting on the thread, on the Social Suplex, thread like does justice to how distraught I was over like the news that like this dude is done and he can't do this fucking job after all the shit they've gone through. Like, Johnny can't just beat this fucker one good fucking time and win the belt. Like, I was so distraught. I'm still upset about it right now. But it absolutely sucked because it's like they built this program for like 20 months and then like we get 4 weeks out and it's like we can't go no further. And I was just like, man, if I didn't know this shit was a work, I would have felt like this is some Shawn Michaels pussyfoot injury, lost my smile bullshit. He doesn't want to drop a belt and fuck that dude, but I know it's fake, right? So,
it makes me wonder, like, do they do monthly checkups for like their main eventers when they know they got some big plan?
Nah, normally it's a situation where they just have guys when it's a match that they know it's big or whatever else, they just try to protect dudes on the road and tell them not to do nothing crazy, or they have them work less dates, generally speaking. And then, if you have some type of issue, speak up so we can try to protect you from not doing too many matches. Like when Seth did that dive off of the like 15 feet in the air. Or not 15 feet, that's crazy. Like 10 feet in the air, did that dive onto the pre-show table at the last pay-per-view. I was like, dude. And especially he didn't fall like flush. I was like, dude, if you had broke your fucking wrist, the whole WrestleMania match for the Universal title just goes up in smoke. And then luckily he ended up getting up. But at the time when it happened, he landed funny. I was like, oh no.
He wouldn't have went up in smoke. We knew exactly who was going to be right there.
Oh, here y'all go. Like Rich on the LOP show was telling me like, they kept him out of Chicago on the Raw show, and I was like, yeah, well, he's selling an injury, and I was like, and he goes, they were trying to protect him from getting booed, and I was like, Rich, they had him in Philly and he got cheered just 2 weeks ago. Like, look, maybe, but they had a story in place, so I can't really tell one way or the other. But they've done a lot of good work with him so far. They've done it nearly perfectly since he's been back. So if he got booed, then like he was gonna get booed regardless of whatever they did with him. So like, and they put Roman Reigns in so many positions to get booed over the last years that like I don't think they were like, oh well, he just come back from cancer, so we can't get him booed. They done number get his ass booed for 80% of the last 5 years.
I think the only thing that's gonna get Roman Reigns booed is if he gets to the World Championship before the summer. And by summer I mean basically SummerSlam, or actually, I think that might be it. If he gets to the world title before SummerSlam after a significant amount of time, like they got to let that breathe because he was already the world champion last time before he gave up the title. So, and like he's always in pursuit of it too. So that's another thing.
Yeah, generally speaking, yeah. I mean, but he's top guy. Like this is gonna happen. You're always gonna be in title contention when you're the top guy.
I think, real quick, but that's the problem. Like, because when he was U.S. champion, it's like, oh, okay. Like we've talked about this before. Like, yeah, you can have matches with Big E. You could have matches with Sami Zayn. You can have you wrestle Rusev twice, and you go after the world title.
Yeah, he could do that, or they go out there and just go ahead.
I'm saying, real quick, I'm like, and you're supposed to be on punishment, quote unquote.
On punishment? What do you mean?
The demotion, basically.
Oh, you're talking after the PED failure. Okay, yeah. I mean, they don't care about that. They just care if you show up to work. And then they'll be upset with you because you missed 30 days of work. That's about it. They don't care. You think this man gives a flying fuck if any of these dudes are out here pissing cloudy? Come on now. Yeah, so after the Triple H promo, we get Kathy Kelly backstage near the men's locker room, and we get some of the reactions from the roster. And he said that some are excited and some are upset. We then get Kona Reeves, who we haven't seen in months, and he said that the 5-way match, it'll be all right, but it won't be the finest. And then he walked away because he stinks. So then we get the Forgotten Sons, and they tell Kathy that why are they even asking them about that match when they have the finals of the Dusty Rhodes Classic coming next week, and this proves that they are forgotten. And then they moved on from there. We also get some like promo vignette deals from all 5 members of the upcoming match later in the show. So then we end up getting a video package of Ciampa in Birmingham, Alabama, James Andrews medical facility where he goes out there and fixes all these premier athletes.
So real quick, when he's back healthy, he's basically done with NXT, right? He kind of like the last thing there was probably just going to be to take the L to Gargano, and I'm pretty sure Gargano's going to be moving up to the main roster by the time. What's the big takeover special? For the SummerSlam takeover.
Oh, Toronto too.
That'll probably be like his last big thing, or they might even have him finish up earlier. But I doubt that.
I don't think they're going to move Gargano now. Like when they came up that 1 week that they were up there. You know, they were a tag team, so I'm pretty sure they're going to be a tag team. And now that Ciampa's gone, he's going to be in NXT, which is fine by me because if he's in NXT, he can go out there and he still can be great and have these best matches on this side of the planet. So fine by me, because there was some talk about they might move him on to 205 Live, and it's like, how the fuck would you move your top star from your 3rd brand and then move him to your 5th brand?
For 205 Live, like I had hope for that promotion to be something better than what it is. Which isn't to say that it's bad, but
it's not bad at all. It's just no one cares because you presented it as lesser than.
Man, like fresh off the Cruiserweight Classic, that should have been one of the best shows. That should have been what the Cruiserweight division was for WCW back in the day.
Like, if you want to get them over, the Cruiserweights over, you would have not put them on Raw, like, after the brand split.
Randomly.
And then have them basically get 2 segments per show where all they do is wrestle each other and no one knows who they are and they don't do anything as far as character development or storyline or move through storylines or whatever. You can't get into people when you get the samplings of them or whatever else, or you see somebody like 5 times just wrestling matches. Like, that's not what the main roster is necessarily for. Like, you're supposed to put them into the world, let them look impressive, and then throw them up against other people that are also impressive. Like, and when you never get to fight any of the quote unquote heavyweights and never lose impressively or beat a person once or twice, like 1-2-3 Kid or whoever else, like that, just you have. You just guys that do flips that are small as opposed to most of the other roster, which is like bigger people that also do flips.
And to that end, it's like even the simple stuff, like WWE is their production and how they can shape things and give the vignettes and all that stuff. That's one of the things that they're known for, to make wrestlers and make them interesting before they even arrive on the main roster.
Yep.
They basically did a cold open with the Cruiserweights like 2 weeks after the tournament ended. That was ridiculous.
But Simon, here's the thing. They did the cold open with the top 4 biggest stars on fucking NXT, the developmental brand. Like Ricochet, Gargano, Aleister Black, Ciampa, those are all 1st-round draft picks. And they all put them up on the same night, all together. Just the same way that they did the same thing with Becky and Charlotte and Sasha. And remember when they all came up and like it took them until what? It took them like I won't say 6 months, but it took them until like the winter and for them to actually like come off as real stars because they had got away from that whole. gang warfare, for lack of a better word, when it was like the Bellas versus the sorority sisters, aka PCB versus Team Bad. It's like you can't get 9 people over all at once, and then you can't get 4 people all over at once. Like it has to be steps. But with the cruiserweights, they just said, we just have a whole division. We're just going to put on twice a show, and hopefully they'll get over because they're going to wrestle really hard.
Yeah, because nobody else does that.
Right. Like they wrestle better. They work at a faster pace, and higher, and not higher impact, but like work at a faster pace, and it's more interesting to me. But I'm a wrestling nerd. Like, there is a clear distinction between a WWE fan and a wrestling fan at this point. Like, and it's more, and you see the difference is more and more every single time you go on social media or whatever else. And there's no right way or wrong way of viewing it. It's just like that's how you're informed by how you grew up, the stuff you're watching, and that's how you like it, and this is how other people like it, and there's a clash there. Like, I can go, I watched Stardom. I picked up my Stardom subscription in early January. There's no commentary on there. There's very few promos. You get like, you go to their show list, you click on a match, and then you'll get a promo between the people who are in the match, a quick promo, and then they come out and they wrestle with no commentary. I love it, but other people, like, they need to be emotional. They need the foreplay. They need to be emotionally invested in stuff to care about people fighting. When it's like, for me, I just want to see the fight.
But real quick before we move on, the top drafts of NXT, they just get brought up out the blue. But Lars Sullivan and Lacey Evans, they get weeks of
yeah,
they get weeks of vignettes.
Yeah, and we saw what that worked out for Lars and how what is working out for Lacey Evans right now. I mean, you can do it the other way too, because it's like you bring people up one at a time or whatever else too. That's still sometimes that doesn't work either. Like, I mean, they all brought up, or after all, last year they brought up what, Sanity and Andrade, and I can't recall who else, but like
Sanity's still employed.
Sanity?
Yeah.
Sanity. Last time I saw him, he had Eric Young had a match with Ricochet, I want to say like 4 weeks ago.
Like on TV.
On SmackDown, yeah. yeah, see what I mean? And then the time before that was when they were getting ready for the Survivor Series pre-show match with the tag teams, and the Usos were walking through that boiler room, that back room that Undertaker and Kane normally occupy, but they ain't here no more, so the Usos decided to hook up in there, or link up in there, and they were just bidding all the tag teams, the Sanity, the New Day, I'm trying to think of the Club, and they were like, they handed them shirts, the SmackDown shirts, and said, "Welcome to the Uso Penitentiary." So that's kind of like the last 2 times I remember seeing Sanity, period, is like they're just cannon fodder, or just people on the side.
Jesus.
Yeah, so then we get a video package from Ciampa. Sorry about that, the digression, guys, but we get a video package from Ciampa in Alabama, Birmingham, and it's all devoted to his neck surgery, and it explains the surgery process, recovery time. Said it's like 6 months to a year. His family was with him at the time. They ended up explaining and showing a X-ray, and explained it like his next bump, he could have been paralyzed.
Wow.
Yeah. So then we get another interview with Kathy Kelly, and she is interviewing the Sky Pirates, who are in the middle of a photo shoot, which is like weird. They've done this before, but still weird. Io and Kyrie, they're cheerful. Kathy Kelly asks about the 4-way match at Takeover. They end up saying that nothing can come between them, come between their friendship, and then all of a sudden out comes Bianca Belair and interrupts him, and then cuts him off in the promos, and then runs him down, and then storms off, and then it pisses off Kyrie so much that she goes to walk after Bianca to go whoop that ass, but then Io held her back, and it's like, nah, let her, because I remember what happened at the Mae Young Classic the first year.
Well,
yeah. So then we get our one only match on the show. They end up mentioning that there were other matches that were advertised, but this match took precedent because they needed a contender for the vacant title. So Adam Cole versus Ricochet versus Aleister Black versus Matt Riddle versus Velveteen Dream. Winner goes to Takeover New York to face Gargano for the NXT title.
So before we get into it, who are you rooting for in this match?
Let's see. I was rooting for Ricochet, honestly. I was rooting for me. It could have been anybody. It could have been any of the 5, but like I would have loved to see him fight. I would like to see Ricochet in a title match.
It was either him or Aleister Black for me.
Yeah, like I knew
special.
Right, like I knew that Ricochet wasn't going to be in it because the Dusty Rhodes Classic booking, but it's like it'd been cool to have been able to been like, all right, well, we still, you took my title from me by taking the easy way out. How about I whoop your ass for the belt you've been chasing after on and off for the last year, right? Or 15 months. So that's what I would have been. That's why I was kind of rooting for Ricochet, and then like they decided to go Adam Cole, and that's understandable because like Ricochet and Aleister Black, like after this takeover, are probably out of here. Gargano's probably staying.
Too soon for
Velveteen's the North American champion right now, and Riddle, he's getting his feet wet still, so it makes sense. I mean, they could have hot shot at Riddle, but I don't see what the point would have been.
Yeah, that was like the last one I wanted to see.
Yeah, like he's not a good enough promo. Like he's a great wrestler, don't be wrong, but like he's not a good enough promo to be like your top guy right now. No.
What are you talking about? He's gonna retire Brock, didn't you hear?
Yeah, that's what he wants to do. Like sure, but.
Everybody got dreams, big fella.
Yeah. So, match begins with a melee. Black and Dream were first to square off in the ring. Riddle and Dream continue teasing a future match between them two. They end up facing off at one point. Dream twice jumped into the ring and to break up bro missions because he kept slapping on submissions on people. Riddle. Towards the end of the match, Dream found himself trapped in submission. In that submission, finally, Black got to shine at certain points, and he also threw kicks and knee strikes. He also did a springboard quebrada. Dream came out the top rope with a flying axe handle on the floor. Ricochet flew around because that's what he does. We get a parade of high spots. We get a Tower of Doom spot, and then we get a closing segment where, basically, how do I say this? Cole and your boy Velveteen are on the floor. Or down outside the ring on the floor, or maybe it's Aleister Black instead of Velveteen. I can't remember. Yeah, that's what it was. It was Velveteen. It was Velveteen up on the top rope, ready to do a move, and then you have Cole and Aleister on the floor outside. Ricochet runs up and gives him a Hurricane Rana off the top rope. He lands on the apron, but Velveteen lays out Adam Cole and Aleister Black. So Riddle's down on the ground, in the ring. So after that happens, Ricochet gets back up to the top rope and he hits a shooting star press onto Riddle, and you think that's the end of the match. Then all of a sudden, the person that got wiped out on the floor, Adam Cole, he gets up, no sells the fact he got wiped out, and just hits the kill shot or the last shot, whatever he calls it, basically the shining wizard back of the head on Ricochet, and it pins Ricochet. He goes to NXT Takeover for the NXT title against Gargano. This is a great match. I probably give it like 4.5.
Like I really knew it was gonna be good when majority of the front load of the show was filled with promos.
Mm-hmm.
Even then, this is like fantastic. And it's stuff like this that really wants to make me watch NXT more regularly than I actually do. I usually just wait for the takeovers because that's where the magic happens. But they definitely got some great wrestling on these little TV shows too.
Oh yeah, man! Like you'll see, the first round of the Dusty Rhodes Classic, which was 2 weeks ago. They had 4 matches. All these matches, right? Like every single match is 3 3/4 or better. Like you have Oni and Lorcan versus the Forgotten Sons. You have Mustache Mountain versus the Street Profits. You have Aleister Black. You have Aleister Black and Ricochet versus I can't remember who it was they were fighting. Fabian Eichner and Marcel Bartel. And then you have in the main event, you have DIY versus Fish and O'Reilly. All those matches were great.
And they sound great.
Yeah, like just killer matches after killer match after killer match after killer match. The week before then, I believe you had the freaking kaiju battle between Keith Lee and Dijakovic, and I think on that same show you also had that 3 match between two-way or the number one contender match. Or no, I'm sorry. Last week was the number one contender match between Io Shirai and Bianca Belair. I think also on that same show they had the Dijak and Lee match. The main event was Mia Yim versus Shayna Baszler, and that match was great. Just a great storytelling match. Like, they're both working over body parts. They're both injured, and basically Shayna wins at the end because she outsmarted Mia. Like, and Mia basically was just resourceful throughout the whole entire match with a bum leg, and just kept surviving, almost put Shayna away. Like, NXT television is just like so good now at this point, and that's one of the things that I enjoy about the show is we're able to show like the evolution from like it was truly developed. It truly felt like developmental 5 years ago. Now, it's really a third brand.
Performance Center, new developmental, basically. Yeah. And since we mentioned Shayna Baszler, and we also talked about Ronda Rousey, but I'm not sure if that was recorded or not.
Nah, that wasn't recorded. We were just talking about a million things besides NXT at that point.
But the question I think got to be asked, because of course there's some people there's a rumor that Ronda Rousey's going to go away for a little while afterwards.
She's not on the European house show or the tour right now. Neither is Ambrose.
So at what point do Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey get going? Like when is Shayna Baszler you think coming up?
Well, honestly, she should come up like after WrestleMania. Exactly. Honestly, she should have came up after Royal Rumble.
I'm thinking that they might, because I'm also thinking about the finish of the match, and what if they decide to have Ronda win, even though it's probably not. It's probably like the last option.
Who knows? For me personally, like, I don't think you can just bring Shayna in and just have her immediately like challenge Ronda. I don't think people will buy it because, Shayna was only the people that know of Shayna Baszler as a former MMA fighter. They know that she wasn't on that level that Ronda was on. So and also it's like she was on the main roster, and then there's another NXT-er, and then people are gonna, people be like, okay, so why did they bring her up immediately? Like if she was all that, right?
Wow.
Now you have to do some convincing, and on the main roster, like hell, they barely even want to let Ronda kill anybody, let alone let Shayna do it. But Shayna would be an excellent heel on TV. She just come out, be a bully like she always is, and just quickly dispatch some of these non-contenders, and then go out there and sell around for the people that going to be the title contenders coming up. Like, she would make a great champion on the main roster.
Thankfully, as far as Ronda Rousey killing folks, thankfully the closest she ever come to wrestling a boxer is Nia Jax.
Oh my god. All right, Simon. So I think that's the end of the show right there. You killed it. So you go ahead and give us your plugs, man.
All right. Well, you can follow me on Twitter at SGC Speaks, Instagram SGC Central. I'm a writer for Sports Kita. Just type in my name, Simon Cotton, something will pop right up. I'm writing a few columns. I just wrote one about Braun Strowman and how, like, the company is basically going to continue just misusing him at this point because he should be the guy, or at least one of the big guys, and he's clearly not. And yeah, I'm going to start the Retro podcast at some point covering the WrestleManias that have occurred in New York and the New Jersey area since WrestleMania is returning to the MetLife Stadium. So look out for that.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on the show. And guys, be sure to rate us on whatever app you're using to listen. Tell the folk about the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Be sure to check out our friends, Powerslam.tv, the sponsor of the show. If you're a fan of independent pro wrestling, they have over 4,000 hours of footage from all over the world. You can use the code Social Suplex to get your free month's trial. Don't forget to visit ProWrestlingTees.com/ Social Suplex and pick up some official Social Suplex Podcast Network merchandise. Be sure to check out some of the other shows on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. On Sundays, we have One Nation Radio. On Mondays, we have, until April 1st, that is, we have the Omega Luke Wrestling Podcast. On Tuesdays, we have Keepin It Strong Style. On Wednesdays, we have the Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show. And every other Wednesday, we have Grown Men Watch This Shit. On Thursdays, until April 1st again, we have the Omega Luke Podcast. On Fridays, we have this show, NXT Then Now Forever. And on Saturdays, we have All Things Elite. Thanks for listening. Later.